Anyway, so you fast forward a little bit, and you're working at
Waiting tables in San Diego, watching tons of movies, wishing I could somehow get into the film business. And finally, I see an ad in a paper for the New York Film Academy. And you'll see these if you, in entertainment mags or whatever. It's a little bit more legit than it was then, but they had like an office in LA at Universal Studios. And they run these like 8-week, 6-month programs. And the one that caught my eye was, it was like massively discounted over Christmas. It was like, come up, do like a 6-week deal over Christmas. So this would have been in either 99 or 2000. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm going to do it. So I applied for credit cards, maxed them all out in order to pay like
tuition
month, like
a
month rent and deposit on like a little, they call it an efficiency unit. That's like it's basically like a
this?
closet.
So not as big as this?
No. I could, so it's an apartment. It's like a deep Tokyo level shit, right?
Okay.
Where you're just stacked in there. So there's no kitchen. I had to have a hot plate. Like I could lay on my bed and I could turn my TV on with one foot and play like Ghost Recon. Yeah. And with the other foot, I could open the fridge. Like this place was small. So I moved up to LA to do this program, and that was sort of, I made the most of that. And it was a piece of shit. It was bad. They gave us like 16 millimeter cameras that were actually used in World War II, that were like dinged up from World War II. Yeah. I joked that like there was like blood from Normandy on ours, but I was only half joking. There was stains on it, and I'm like, what the hell is this?
Oh, shit.
So, and there's digital shit that you could edit on, like Final Cut was a thing. This place was, and you could only pay, they made me pay in cash. I'm like, dude, so there's no paper trail? You guys are totally illegal. But the thing that they had was, they let you shoot on Universal. So when you went and shot with your World War II camera with no audio, you could shoot on the Universal lot, right? Uh-huh. And that was like dope. So you're shooting on the Jurassic Park set, and the Universal trams are coming by, and they think that you're a legit production, you know? They're all taking pictures of you, and they were filming your shit, and you did this whole thing where they break you into groups of 4, and you rotate. I'm a director and sound guy, and then you rotate for each other's projects, so you learn a little. Yeah. Whatever. I just wanted a camera and needed to shoot some shit, and I made a friend there specifically who then his name's Tori Mel. Shout out to Tori.
Shout out to Tori.
Yeah. He was like my first pal in LA. Everyone else in that group couldn't speak English, so the friend circle just sort of bloomed through him, and then it grew. Yeah. So eventually what happened is I was waiting tables in LA.
Don't tell me you got discovered by G4.
No, okay. No. So what happened is, it's weird, dude. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's such a complicated line of things. So Tori, I ended up randomly, I don't know how.
Just say it, man.
Okay, so one of Tori's friends was Amit Zappa, right? Frank Zappa's son. And I ended up dating his sister, Diva Zappa. So this began what me and like the pals jokingly called like the rock star years, because I was just this nobody that people thought was funny or whatever, but it was just like there's no pedigree or nothing. I haven't done anything, but I'm being sort of pulled along through the now like Zappa connection to all this stuff, and it was just so fun and stressful and terrifying, and through that I ended up going to a Halo night that Diva, my girlfriend at the time, had been invited to, that was all these comedians and actors, right? So it was all the guys from Mr. Show. I don't know if you remember that. That's like Bob Odenkirk, and he's like the guy from Better Call Saul.
Okay, yeah.
whole bunch of these dudes had a Halo LAN party that they did every Friday. They called it the Hollywood Halo Social Club. So from there, I made friends with all these guys, and one of them ended up writing at Attack of the Show at G4. And then when X-Play at G4 was like, we're looking for PAs, and he knew that at the time I was installing custom cable installation, crawling through cat shit and raccoon, like cellars and shit. He was like, dude, I know a guy who's a gamer. You should totally hire him. And I scooted in at the bottom, like rung of X-Play that way through a connection over on Attack of the Show.
For like for that, as
doing
a
PA stuff, helping fetching like Sessler his like beef jerky and
you just remember like that name hadn't been brought up in my head in a long time.
And Morgan Webb. Yep. It was really fun. And I started like at the bottom of that and eventually sort of moved up and I didn't move up the ranks so much as sort of my responsibilities grew to where I was writing a lot of games.
How do you go from being a PA to being on camera talent?
So that's another critical moment.
Yeah.
Because I never wanted to be on camera ever.
Okay.
And I had pitched a thing to the executive producer. I was like, dude, what about this idea where... Because one of the things they struggled with at X-Play was this idea of Sessler and Webb not being gamers. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, and they just didn't necessarily play all the... Like, they weren't playing Call of Duty. Right?
Yeah.
They liked Ratchet and Clank or whatever. And so they didn't have a lot of like hardcore gaming cred. And so I pitched a thing where let's get them playing with viewers. I think viewers would think that was cool. And the executive producer was like, Morgan and Adam are not going to want to have anything to do with that. Yeah. I don't blame them actually, but
yeah.
And he's like, you do it. You're going to do it. And I was like, well, let's pump the brakes here. And that ended up falling into my... So that was like half on camera. So what would happen there is I did some stuff on X-Play and I still want to do stuff like this. It's kind of like stunts. So we would do stuff like, what map was it in COD and what COD even was it? Where you crawl through there was the like Berlin Wall and the machine guns, the auto machine guns looked over the center area. It was kind of snowy. Do you remember that? Black Ops 1. Okay, so is that right?
Yeah.
So I was doing a thing.
What year was this?
I don't know, man.
Okay, so it was definitely not Call of Duty 4 because there was no snowy maps in Call of Duty 4. World at War? May have been World at War? It couldn't have been World at War.
Yeah, I don't remember. Maybe. It was with the No Man's Land and the auto turrets.
Yeah.
That seems like Black Ops.
Yeah.
Anyway, the stuff like everyone, like, we do a thing where I fill a lobby and we all throw smoke grenades and then we prone through that and anyone who gets to the end wins. Like little funny stuff like that, right? And it was such a pain to herd the cats, right? To get everyone to cooperate and not have everyone like one dude decides to like slay out or whatever. Yeah.
There's always that one guy.
Yeah. So what it started out as is me doing that stuff, and then I would come on the show and do a host rap. So Sessler would be like, all right, Mr. Sark, tell us about your latest
adventure.
Yeah, and I'd be like, hey, thanks, Adam. And then I would do the thing, and then I was just like pants shitting, like terrified of that. Because that's like a whole studio. It's like, 30 people back in the dark watching, and no one gives a shit. They're all like, dude, we just want to go on break. Don't fuck your lines up, dickhead. And I'm like...
I've never done anything like it.
I was writing and producing segments for them, so like game reviews. And the way the X-Play worked is the segment producers, which I never was officially. I was an associate producer, but I was producing segments because that's also how entertainment works. Is you just ride to success on the backs of slaves.